In the year 1924, the history of Chianti wine changed. For hundreds of years in Tuscany, red wine was produced based on Sangiovese grapes, and since 1600, exports to England had been constant. In 1716, Cosimo III de' Medici, Grand Duke of Tuscany, defined the geographical boundaries within the region most suitable for the production of wine. The territory of Chianti in the same region was clearly identified. This territorial division had a remarkable importance in the 20th century, when the demand for wine was so high that, to satisfy all consumers, it also began to be produced in the neighboring territories, outside the established borders. But why so much demand? Some say that the worldwide success of Chianti was linked to a container, the fiasco, which allowed it to be shipped without breaking. Originally, the stuffed glass wine container existed in many parts of Italy, but in the Renaissance, fiasco became synonymous with Tuscan wine, especially Chianti. In 1574, a law of the Grand Duke fixed its capacity at 2,280 liters, corresponding to half a quarter. But it was in 1922, with the ideation of hermetic capping, that the fiasco became a perfect shipping container, literally putting wings to export of Tuscan wines. You will be amazed to know that even in the 1960s, the fiasco was produced in tens and tens of millions of pieces, 40 of which were intended for export. At that time, both the glass and the coating were mechanized, and the glass works were asked not to send empty flags abroad to prevent the production of fake Chianti, that is, a Tuscan sounding. In 1924, a group of 33 wine producers met in Rada in Chianti and created the first consortium to defend against the imitation of their Chianti wine and to obtain a distinctive name. The image chosen by the associates was that of the Gallo Nero, the historical symbol of the ancient Lega Militare del Chianti. It is said, in fact, that during the war between Siena and Florence, the two cities had the idea of fixing the border between the two republics with a challenge, or a kind of race, and without bloodshed. Two knights were to depart from their respective cities at the first crow of the rooster, and the border would be fixed at the point where they met. The Florentines, more cunning and slightly dishonest, took a black rooster and did not feed it for days and days, so that it sang even before dawn. So it was that the Florentine knight left first and arrived at Fonterutoli before meeting the Sienese rival, moving the border far south between the two territories. This place still marks the division between the two provinces. And so it is that the efforts of 33 wine producers were rewarded in 1932 when a ministerial decree recognized the wine produced in this area established by the Medici decree the right of using the attribute classic, thus make it different from the Chianti of the surrounding areas. At the end of a bureaucratic process that lasted 70 years, with the decree of 5 August 1996, Chianti Classico Wine's autonomy was recognized from generic Chianti, with a specific law that defined the requirements for the production of wine. Therefore, since 1996, Chianti Classico is no longer a sub-area of the Chianti denomination. It is a denomination in itself and is associated with the historic Gallo Nero brand. The producers of this denomination have always privileged the use of Sangiovese, so much so that Chianti Classico wine can also be produced with 100%, starting from a base of 80% of this wine, perpetuating the maintenance of cultural techniques that do not change the characteristics of the grape. This is not the case with Chianti, because it can also have only 70% of Sangiovese grape. Knowing this legendary story now, you too can taste the authentic original Chianti Classico, famous for the historic Gallo Nero brand. The Chianti Classico, one of the best wines in the world, is obviously not the only Italian wine per excellence. That's why we invite you to watch this video, Top 10 Best Italian Wines, in which you will discover the 10 best wines made in Italy to taste one sip at a time.